Corral, the upgrade to their offense, as most of us would say. Maybe we can expect the same results, but Gyro, you know, they talked about him on the desk. I think he has been fantastic today so far. A couple of defensive errors, but on offense, his mechanics have been outshining the rest. I think he's going to have a huge impact.
AJ getting the first 50 there, but Gyro was the first on that push, and Gyro has looked solid today as well. You might see him on the forefront of the attack again. That seems to be what happens on this Peeps roster more times than not, is Gyro finds himself in that striking position. Not that AJ or Illusion aren't capable of pulling out all the stops as T. Corral gets the push down in front of the box.
Peeps have been on our radar for quite some time. Coming into the first 2 regional events, they had placed in the top 4, but recently not doing the greatest. They have made playoffs in the major and also in regional event 3, but we're waiting for that pop-off again where they'll make top 4 and exceed a lot of our expectations. They're up against Soniqs, who, you know, like we've always talked about with those new additions. I mean, it's revived a lot of the energy, and now we see Shock back on this team. It's a lot of potential on both sides and underrated players.
The individual talent on this field right now is ridiculously high.
Yeah.
It's like every player has something ridiculous in their own right that they can call theirs and pop, you know, that pop-off potential, if you will. So all the pieces are certainly there for both squads. But consistency is the hardest thing in Rocket League. And T. Corral almost found that second touch. He tried to thread it. Oh, and Shock just hitting the edge of it, but T. Corral collected some boost. He goes for another double, but he just misses it high. Shock can't get the shot, and T. Corral, 2 chances on a double, 1 he typically hits, and a little frustration for J-Rust. He's gonna go for it again.
Oh, it's all over the place so far for both these teams. I mean, J-Rust had gotten a demo, then as he's rotating out to go keep the pressure, and he gets bumped, and then comes back and then demos Gyro again, so it's just left and right physical plays from either side, and this one off the backboard, nobody has a read. There's a couple of whiffs on the field, but this is so much faster paced than the one we just casted, Dorby.
That one drops down, especially if T. Corral, if he feels confident to challenge the backboard every single time on his catches, and he's like, it doesn't matter. If I get behind the ball, I'm going for a double. But J-Rust, he stays on the ground, goes for the bump, and J-Rust flexes! 1-0 for the Soniqs.
It's all been these physical plays. J-Rust got that first demo earlier on, and then now, even whenever he has possession, he's still going for the demo. Gets a little piece of AJ. AJ tried to flip out the way and find some kind of touch, maybe throw off the route to get the demo, but it's not enough. Soniqs go up first.
And the Soniqs first added J-Rust to the roster. His potential got a lot of Soniqs fans hyped for what it could really look like on this team. And he had moments back on that previous roster where you felt like, oh, that's it. The J-Rust is here now. But, you know, a couple of iterations later and tournaments later, they find themselves with T. Corral, and that just opens up your teammates when you have a talent like T. Corral to have more space to do what they can do.
Yeah.
And when you have 3 players are capable of doing that, I think you're going to see a lot of success out of the Soniqs, and there's 2 goals for J-Rust.
Yeah, and we had covered this earlier. Gyro on the defensive end has not been looking the best. On offense, he's been great, but right here, that touch, you've got to do more with that. I would save your flip a little bit to use right under the ball. It has to go any other direction. Get some kind of stall out of that touch instead. He just gives it right back to the offense. Soniqs able to capitalize, and again, it's J-Rust.
Gyro finding a pass. Ooh, and AJ shoots a banger in front of the box. Peeps split the lead.
Yeah, constantly consistent on the offensive side, but on the defense, it's a little bit shaky. Gyro, he's the start of this play, so he gets revenge. He's not going to be too tilted. That's one of those very relieving goals if you are Gyro. You just make the mistake, so you try to improve and make up to your team for that previous error, and he does so just in the right moment. There's plenty of time left, 136. I mean, the Peeps, they've had some offensive pressure. Surely they can get back.
Surely they can. With a push towards the box, Illusion next up on the rotation. It's a good pop for Gyro, but AJ's gonna stay on the ground for Gyro to pass it. I thought AJ actually had a lead on the follow-up there, but instead waited for Gyro to come back down to it, while the entire defense was expecting Gyro to go for it. It was definitely a chance for AJ with a full tank to go for something, but they're still getting the bumps, got a lot of value,
Oh.
and they still can't put it in. It rolled right off the post.
We're getting more bumps than I thought we'd get between both these teams. I mean, we even saw on the,
Oh, no.
I believe it was the stat sheet as Illusion almost own goals it. That would have been scared. The stat sheet before, though, I just wanted to mention coming into this series, I think it was the Peeps who had about 1 extra demo per game on average, but it's been Soniqs who are more physical.
Ooh, J-Russ really has a feel behind the ball right now. The ground game has been excellent from him in game number 1, and it may net Susquehanna a lead in the match, but the Peeps aren't quite done. AJ trying to create some space. Oh my gosh. On the backside, Illusion just popped up and got the demo, and they said gyro, let it rip, but they couldn't get the ball back on. Here comes again. Shock takes away the next shot. And around again we go. AJ and Illusion, gyro. Next up, keeps it close as time expires. It's killed by T. Corell, but scooped up by Illusion. J-Russ couldn't grab the ball. Gyro setting up one more chance for AJ, and T. Corell blocks the ball. Soniqs survive game 1.
Oh my goodness, we've gotten so close. We've gotten teased so many times, Jorby, in the final moments. There were a couple ones in the previous SSG series where there was maybe a buzzer beater in some of those overtimes, and then now coming out here against the Peeps, you could see they almost got a touch for AJ, but Soniqs, this was a better start for them, and I want to compare this start as well for Shock. If you remember yesterday, the series from the Soniqs versus G2, Shock had a horrible start to both the first games. And then now coming out here, he's been consistent, got a couple of good saves on the defensive side, and then J-Russ on the offense has been carrying the way.
Yeah, J-Russ punishing Gyro on that last play. I mean, that was a tough spot for Gyro to be in, but that first play from J-Russ, where just the good maneuvers on the ground to get Soniqs the goal. And the Peeps, well, the road's going to get a little tougher. I have to say, I'm really impressed with how Soniqs have started this match. I thought the Peeps would play it a little more dominant on their half, but maybe I haven't experienced the T. Corell effect to full effect, and I am well aware of how dynamic T. Corell is.
Yeah.
But Soniqs, to consistently put out quality game after quality game, it's starting to turn into it's starting to be fun to watch Soniqs, is what I'm trying to say, Turk.
Yeah, well, and they've got the solo potential as well. A lot of these plays have just been from J-Russ alone doing a lot of work on the offensive side. I mean, we can only imagine what happens once they start connecting a few more passes. And they're not getting too desperate as well. You know, if a couple of solo plays is what works, then there's no need to force other extra outlets. Just keep going with what's working and what's effective on offense against the Peeps, which has been the solo plays, and capitalizing on Gyro's mistakes, and you're good. Oh, that's just in.
That's just in. Illusion launches it, and yeah, that's a goal. That's what we call. I mean, he straight just bombed it.
And J-Russ got demoed. I was trying to find out where he was on the pitch, but ideally in that situation, he would have been the man rotating back to get a touch, as that one just sunk in from the corner, and the Peeps get an early start.
Another long. Are you kidding me?
Oh my goodness. Okay.
J-Russ backflip, recovered, and T. Corell backs him up this time. I think T. Corell was always the first man on that one, but
what is going on?
What is going on with all these long balls and the rebound? What, you missed the ball? Soniqs shoots. I'm sorry, the game became unreadable for a second. We're just launching the ball wall to wall, and not the sidewalls.
I don't know what's happening. J-Russ should have gotten a shot there. He backflipped, but then the way that play started was, I believe it was Gyro on the backboard who had missed the touch. So mechanics are getting thrown out the window this game, and it's just sloppy, but it's so fun to watch.
Maybe a little too speedy on the approach for Soniqs on that last play. And, you know, as goofy as it may have looked, that was an opportunity that they didn't capitalize on. They have another rebound that just comes so far out. The rest of the Peeps flat on the recovery. And they're having trouble grabbing control of midfield. Illusion got bodied out of the way by T. Corell, who now finds an outlet pass and a shot right into AJ for another save.
Those are the passes I was talking about. Soniqs, you know, if they can start connecting those more frequently, it could be deadly because they've got the solo plays from J-Russ. And once they thread the midfield pass, that final element, they will look like a perfectly well-rounded team, in my opinion. Illusion does get a demo. More physical play still coming out. We saw those in the first game, but the Peeps, they're the only team who's been able to punish.
But Soniqs have had a couple of good pushes. They're gonna need a solid clear if they want some more of them. Shock, the catch, couldn't get anything going on it. T. Carell banged it off the corner. He'll keep it close, but he had to use all of his boost to make it happen. Trying to kill the ball in the 50 for J-Russ, flipping under the ball. Soniqs just rushing a lot of their touches. Feeling like they have to, I don't know if they feel like they have to outspeed the Peeps, but the Peeps have been, sitting on the ground waiting to receive some of these plays. Soniqs have controlled the pitch pretty well. And so you're kind of wondering what's going on with some of the mechanical gaps. J-Russ tries to right that ship, just a little too close to the backboard.
Well, I don't know how many chances Soniqs are going to get, though, because this style had worked effectively earlier on because they forced out that mistake, but they weren't able to punish. So I don't think we're going to see those silly mechanical issues that we did at the beginning from the Peeps, because they're prepared now. They've had their few minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes now to get their defense settled. I don't think we'll get those simple mistakes. They need to force something themselves.
On the other side, T. Carell killing the ball for Shock. Oh, and it's a fight for the Soniqs just to get out of their own corner right now. T. Carell squared up that 50 as best as he could. J-Russ launched AJ to the ceiling. That's one way to get the ball back. T. Carell, 150 going the wrong way. Illusion gets bopped out of the play, and finally J-Russ gets a long clear out. Tend to let that ball drop right in front. Well, if it started fast, it slowed down, and J-Russ heats it right back up with that shot. Illusion, nice carry, but the bounce, that's gonna be Shock. T. Carell couldn't get AJ to bite on the attempted bump. Illusion too far back to receive that, and Gyro has to contend now with Illusion and T. Carell. We'll kick it back out to the side, but time's starting to run out for Soniqs. T. Carell gonna stay on the ground. He'll collect the boost, that's all he's gonna get.
Oh, and this is a very aware defense. Out of everyone on the Peeps, look at the carry from Gyro. First, we had the demo dodge from AJ where he knew somebody was trying to take him out. He slowed down his rotation, dodged the demo, and got the clear. Now Gyro's able to stall and waste a lot of valuable seconds off the clock, still controlling it. This defense from the Peeps, leagues ahead of Soniqs at this moment.
Oh, T. Carell got that first touchdown, but they got to move downfield, and now it's got to be in the air. T. Carell getting harassed by AJ. Illusion got the kill, and the Peeps back in the match, tying up the series.
The one goal they got was that silly, dare I say, wacky goal at the beginning where he's just clearing it all the way from his corner. There was a bump, I believe, on J-Russ that we're going to take a look at again. And the Peeps, they got that one goal at the beginning, held on. Their defense improved tenfold, and they were able to casually carry it out, Jorby. And this was nothing too crazy, but very solid, held down in the defense from the Peeps.
Yeah, game two looked like it was going to be as tense as game one, but then some cheesiness happened at some point in the game. First, a long shot from Illusion goes in the net, and then this missed.
Oh, look at this
right
backflip.
There. Oh. But that wasn't the first time that happened for J-Russ. He was struggling in those opportunities in that crunch where he was just, the timing was just a little too quick. And I think J-Russ can afford to slow the play down a little bit. Peeps haven't been, forefront on every single challenge. J-Russ typically has a little bit of wiggle room. And I think he just has to adjust a little bit on that timing.
Yeah, and at the beginning, I thought the Soniqs were, it was their game to win, but then the Peeps slowly picked up on the defense. And still, I think there have been opportunities that Soniqs have missed. I think that if they can pick up the shooting, like you said, Jorby, slow down the pace a little bit. The bump came out there on the defense from the Peeps. Still pretty solid performance, managing, to carry this ball out in the transition game, not letting up.
And the rotations have been slightly offset to where you're seeing more bumps than you probably normally would with players going for 50s and ending up hitting the player off the ball instead. It's nearly as effective, sometimes more effective, depending on the situation, but that seems to be what's happening on both sides of the pitch. It did in game two. Whether that continues in game three is yet to be seen, but Soniqs finally on the board where they could not score it all before.
Oh, that's a poor double commit from the Peeps as AJ's on the backboard. The timing to jump off was just too poor. AJ sees J-Russ trying to get the shot. You want to stay on the backboard. If you see somebody taking that shot, wait for his hit to come out and then jump off. Otherwise, you're left just floating down. J-Russ got the easy shot in, and AJ wasn't there to get the save. the Peeps. It's the beginning half where they struggle on the defense.
And while it was simpler for J-Rus, might be a little juice in the confidence jar. The Shock.
Oh, yeah.
Makes the 50 happen. Because you miss a couple, make a couple mechanical mistakes. That could start getting into your head, but scoring a goal typically does pretty well at wiping those mistakes clean out of your short-term memory. Shock getting that touch out, and AJ really struggling to find some consistent clears.
Oh.
Just nothing in front for Shock there, but they still have to get a clear.
A lot of the positioning, too, is they're on top of each other. They're not spaced out too much from the Peeps. You'll notice two players are oftentimes in the same spot going for the same clear. It's
Shock.
the double commit now. Shock the double tap off the backboard. Throw in a demo, and you've got yourself a goal.
Full team effort for Soniqs on the play. J-Rus straight up demos Illusion. A good touch by Shock in front gives T-Corel the open net. That's what we call a textbook play.
Oh, yeah.
From the Susquehanna Soniqs.
Yeah, and that time it wasn't just a simple mistake that they were waiting out from the Peeps. They actually forced it themselves. That's what I was mentioning earlier. I wanted to see that in the previous game because they didn't want to take any chances or take a risk to go for that demo play. But this time, it's a different story. They're starting out, very strong here. Soniqs, very impressed with them so far.
Shock couldn't recover in time, but T-Corel grabs the ball and launches it on the challenge. J-Rus got up for it, but got a little too above the ball. And now it comes back for Shock. Squares up on the first 50, and T-Corel cuts in to keep the Peep on the back wall and almost got the goal on top of it. Soniqs have taken complete control of the pitch in the last minute.
Yeah, I'm on the hype train now for T-Corel. I love this man. He has been he has been a beast. Look at the way he's moving down the field, getting that first touch, being able to control it, push forward. This Soniqs roster has a lot of potential to do great things. The Peeps still, in contention in this matchup, but they have not had one single solid look at the net, I don't think, all game.
T-Corel getting another solid steal, forcing the Peeps the whole way back to their own corner. Shock staying there just for the threat. J-Rus got the first touch out. That wasn't the best bounce for his team, but he did get in front of the ball, and T-Corel just got that one above AJ, who almost got that goal. Wow, okay. T-Corel just straight up dribbled it over top of two players, and then
he got the save previously as well. You got to mention the save he just got to push forward. So if he's not making a flashy play on offense, which is difficult to come by, he's definitely holding down the fort on defense.
Tough to really get consistent pressure going when every third man in the rotation you come up against a brick wall. And not to give T-Corel all the credit, Shock and J-Rus have won their fair share of 50s in tight situations, but it's this guy, T-Corel, who's been stealing the ball away from the Peeps every single time they try to transition. And then even when they do get down the field, T-Corel somehow gets back, gets that double off the backboard, and it's going to be off and in. Shock gets the third goal for Soniqs, but it's all set up by T-Corel.
Even his own teammates don't expect him to make plays like that. J-Rus had jumped up with T-Corel, not knowing he's going to get the double tap. T-Corel did get a touch, outpaced that opponent, and J-Rus was able to recover in time, get the pass out of the middle, and Shock's got to clean up.
Not too bad for a Renegade Cup monthly winner, eh?
Yeah, not bad at all.
But launch downfield, T-Corel certainly bringing a lot of the value Soniqs were hoping for when they brought him onto this team. And they might have gotten even a little bit more than they were expecting this early on. Shock and J-Rus have certainly benefited, but, Peeps broken down in front. Nothing has really worked for them. It's been a complete reverse for the Peeps. They've had a disjointed transition. They haven't been able to stay in front on offense, and for some reason, the majority of their opportunities look like that.
Illusion absolutely bodied whoever was in net. I'm not sure who it was. I think it was T-Corel waiting to get the save, and Illusion just flew by, knocked him out. Unfortunately, we don't get to see it again because a goal had not gotten scored because of it. Still, I like to see that play. I like to see it develop. We need more of that.
Gyro had gotten that first touch out, but now it's already moved by Illusion. Downfield, we'll find Gyro. AJ was waiting, but he's got to wait for the touchdown from T-Corel, who flips it right over one. And Gyro passes it to J-Rus for the final goal for the Soniqs. What a read, T-Corel. That was sick. Well done.
You got to go to his perspective as well for this, because he's coming around, trying to read where this is going to bounce. He knows it's going to hit the crossbar. That is such a difficult read, especially off the crossbar. One of a striker's worst enemies. You still find the read. T-Corel, you are popping off this game. We'll see if you can continue this forward, because if we see the same T-Corel in match point, it's not looking good for the Peeps.
The Peeps put on match point. This is it. They cannot afford any more laxity. Is that even a word? They can't afford to be lackadaisical. The urgency button has to be hit about 5 times right now, because Soniqs got them on match point and are about to take them out of the tournament.
You have to account for, I think, the defensive transition from T-Corel. I know this is all the player we're talking about the most right now is T-Corel, but I think
it's warranted. He had 2 goals, 3 saves, Turtle. Go for it.
Exactly. And it's not even just the fact that he's getting the goals and the saves. It's his carries out of defense. That's what I like the most about him. He's able to get, past 1 or 2 players and relieve all of that pressure. And he'll do some crazy things on offense, yes, that we all love to look at. The flashy plays, the crossbar down reads. But the defense that this man adds to the team and being able to carry it out, the Peeps have to counter that and prepare to have a second-man challenge once he beats the first one.
Peeps struggling to stay ahead, or at least even in the boost game as well. They were always having to contest their corners, and they were never really in a favorable position in the leading position in winning that battle. So where does that leave the Peeps? Well, they got 5 minutes to figure it out. Otherwise, Soniqs just may take them out in 4, as 2 astute analysts predicted on the desk.
Wow. Just giving credit to them.
Now, I've never heard Achieve so confident before. It's like, typically I go for the Peeps, but I like T-Corel and the Soniqs for this one. And I don't know. Achieves is a really smart guy, so I tend to listen when he talks. Shock, pass up in front to J. Rust, who couldn't quite get the connection, and he just had to increase the latency a little bit to find it.
Well, it seems like we have hit the urgency button for everyone on the Peeps, as everybody's in the same spot. Double commit. Illusion, thankfully, did not go for that ball and was able to get the save, but the boost, it's getting taken left and right from the Soniqs. The Peeps, the double commits are coming out even more. Illusion has to pre-fleet. T-Corel is hunting him in his own half. How do you handle all this and not get scored on? Of course, J-Rust ready for the cleanup.
Again, another full team attack from Soniqs. I mean, that was a great shovel from Shock. And the bump. You talk about getting multiple plays out in a few moments to open up some space. And that was a wonderful progression from Shock to open that gap up for J-Rust.
Yeah, and the Soniqs were able to keep pressure like that forward for, 20, 25 seconds. Normally we'll see maybe one good opportunity. If a team doesn't get a goal, they'll all rotate back. But in that instance, all of the Soniqs, every single player, kept that rotation forward, continued moving on with the demos, and did not let up.
Well, T-Corel ready for that comeback, and what a touch from J-Rust. Shock wasn't in the perfect spot for it, really. The net well defended. T-Corel fighting for possession, but now it's a breakaway opportunity. 2-on-1, back to Gyro, and it's saved from the grave. Shock keeps the Peeps in scoreless. Whatever, they still couldn't do it. Shock downfield. T-Corel nothing. And Peeps, they're able to get a win in midfield. Can they find a couple more wins on their way to the Soniqs net? Well, they're having trouble getting the ball away from Shock. Getting chipped by Illusion. AJ slips under him, but then J-Rust sneaks that one away. Peeps, another transition. They've been unsuccessful so far. And in the corner, can't win the 50.
I just want to point out that Illusion just broke another Rule 1. It happened for a second. I'm not sure if anybody caught it, but he's continuing that trend. Doesn't like Rule 1s. He's gonna stay with that theme, the evil villain with the Rule 1s, and still the Peeps scoreless. Not even breaking the Rule 1 will get you one.
Rule 1, this is not the time for a Rule 1. Peeps, you are in urgency mode. There is no time for games when you're down a goal and you're about to be eliminated in game number 4. AJ, what a touch, but Illusion was just a little too far left to it. I don't think even he was expecting AJ to get around the ball and then stop it. He was definitely playing it to shade to the left a little bit more. Another long ball for the Peeps. Shock has a good carry up the corner, and now the Peeps are just forced back. from one touch from Shock. T-Corel forced up against Gyro, and Illusion is up for this. Kicks it up high, making it awkward for J-Russ, but he's up to the task. Jumping for it quickly was Shock, and T-Corel grabbed the boost. He doesn't need to grab the follow-up, though. Shock stays right with it, and they stop another attack from the Peeps.
At first, we had Shock getting that last-second save on the goal line. Now J-Russ. It was an unthinkable read. Somehow we managed to understand the ball was going to drop down perfectly and get that correct touch. Stall out more time and continues forward. J-Russ, you can't ask for any more as a teammate. He's got the defensive stops and also the offensive 1v1s.
J-Russ throws the bowling ball into Illusion, and he cannot stop it from knocking down all the pins in his net. 2 goals, big insurance for the Susquehanna Soniqs. Less than a minute 30 left to go. What do the Peeps have left in the tank? Corel back behind the ball. Peeps have had a couple good ideas. Gyro's got a good touch and a good pass, but good isn't good enough. They have to be great. And who has been greater? The Soniqs. No, yes it goes. I thought that was gonna be disastrous for the Peeps, but disaster is their middle name apparently. They get a goal.
We've just seen so many double commits. They had worked so hard for that shot. If the double commit had ruined it, I don't know what that would have done to the mentality, but the Peeps, they worked so incredibly hard that it didn't even matter if a double commit did come out. Gyro was there with the rotation, the save to give them a chance at least to stay alive. This is facing elimination for the Peeps. You have to win this game to stay alive. You want to continue forward in the loser's bracket, and still you're making double commits. 50 seconds left. You need to put one in.
Peeps have had some weird looks on offense. They have unconventional looks, maybe, whatever you want to call them, but they have not been able to collect. And J-Russ behind the ball again. Forces the own goal! J-Russ plays pinball and regains insurance for the Soniqs!
It's a disaster. Absolute disaster. For the Peeps, Illusion is just sitting in front of the box, waiting for that challenge, wanting to go ahead in rotation. The ball squeezes out across. Nobody's on the backboard. Everybody is positioned so close, and the Peeps, the worst time to get an own goal. 30 seconds left now. You're trailing by 2 goals, Jorby. What do? Make it 3.
T-Corel gets the launch cannon shot from J-Russ and the finesse to put it in the back of the net. Soniqs preparing to go to sleep, because it is looking like they're going to be moving on to next weekend with a 4-1 scoreline. Nice and snuggled in.
I mean,
it's feeling comfortable, Turtle.
Oh, yeah. I'm almost getting reminded of the previous Soniqs roster. You know, we had Dapper, Sathu, and Shock, and how defensive they'd be. Then all of a sudden explode out onto offense and get this incredible counterattack. We're seeing similar plays, but a better, more well-rounded offense. Everybody's got something to bring to the table. The Soniqs, this is an incredible performance from them, and they're going to move on.
Once again, the Soniqs catch victory, and they move on in the lower bracket. This could be the team to watch in this lower bracket run outside of the 2 powerhouses when you're talking about dark horses, Turtle. Soniqs, they look really solid. T-Corel, it was all over the pitch. When you talk about centerpieces, he was so impactful that it felt like there were 2 of him on the pitch, and it almost didn't feel fair at times how he constantly got back to the ball, how he always seemed to have just enough boost to get that next touch to make things awkward for the Peeps, and they couldn't adjust. Peeps could not adjust to what Soniqs were giving them, and they get eliminated.
Yeah, and you mix that in with J-Russ and those backboard reads on the defensive side. Going forward, J-Russ, every time he's put in a situation where he has a one-on-one with the counterattack, he's nailed him almost every single time. So J-Russ coming in clutch. Shock, the goal line save. All 3 of these guys had highlight moments throughout that